Welcome to Grand Cuisine. Today we're going to explore Carame's recipe for Espagnole sauce, one of the mother recipes, the 5 mother sauces, and one of Carame's original 4 sauces. So we're going to do it a little bit different. We're not going to go quite to the extent that Carame went. Carame had a very interesting method for his Espagnole sauce. He started with a loin of veal, 2 partridges, and a very clear stock, and he reduced that all down until it was an essence. And then he came back and he literally would take in directions and would form it into a ball, and it was not reduced until you could form it into a ball without it sticking on your finger. And then once that was done, he would reconstitute it, add in mirepoix, add in a thickener, and then create the Espagnole sauce. So we know it had an incredible flavor. We're going to go with a little bit more modern version, more of what Escoffier would have done, where he also really emphasized a very flavorful, wonderful stock. And then we are going to incorporate a mirepoix that is cooked to a nice golden caramel, and then finished off aromatics, thyme, garlic, tomato, and then some very rich stock added to that. So I've got some prep for our products here. As you can see, I have my mirepoix, which is ready to go, of carrots, onions, and celery, and we're going to be cooking this. Of course, here at Grand Cuisine, we try to cook just like our forefathers would have done. So we're actually going to be cooking this in the hearth. So we're going to prep this, and then we're going to convene at the hearth and begin the preparation for our Espagnole sauce. So I'm real quickly gonna cut some garlic, gonna clean it real fast, and I'm just taking off the skin, and then I'm just going to add that in. There's no need to cut it at all. It's all going to cook very nicely into our Espagnole sauce as we cook it over the fire. Ultimately, our goal is to make a demi-glace, which of course is just Espagnole sauce that is reduced with equal parts of stock and then the Espagnole sauce itself. So we're going to, oh, that one's giving me a little problem. There we go. I'm gonna win over you. You skins are not gonna defeat me, huh? So there we go. So there's our garlic. Now I also want to go ahead and chop tomato. It's really not necessary to incorporate a concassé tomato. We really can just take a tomato and rough chop it. So I'm just going to cut it in half. I'm not even going to remove the stem because we really want all of the flavor. So most Espagnole recipes require a tomato product, either tomato or even a tomato puree. So we're just going to use some fresh tomato. We're going to incorporate the skin. We're going to incorporate the seeds because we are going to strain everything, of course. Very interesting, in fact, in the recipe, Escoffier tells you that the straining, the skimming of the stock is incredibly important. He really emphasizes skimming, especially when you are using a flour-based roux. And also the straining, he even directs you to use 2 or 3 saucepans in the preparation of Espagnole sauce, changing over the saucepans every time you strain and skim. So we're going to take our mirepoix and all of that, and we're going to go to our hearth, and we're going to begin our Espagnole sauce. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start our Espagnole sauce. So we have our mirepoix, we have our butter, we have our pan heating up. So we're going to go ahead and add in our butter and let that melt. Let that get just a little bit warm. So begin to hear that sizzle. So it's about 2 ounces of butter that we're using. And we're gonna let that melt down. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in our mirepoix. So we're gonna add in our, let it foam just a minute. So of course, on the hearth, we have no control, so we can't turn it up, can't turn it down. You can move the embers around and bank up the embers to give you a little more heat. And so I think actually a little flame there is gonna do us some good. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add in, there we go. Add in our onions. We're gonna add in all of our mirepoix. So we're gonna pour that all in, just like that. There we go. There's some nice sizzle going. And we're gonna let that cook. Then our goal with the mirepoix is to cook it until it is very golden brown. So we're gonna allow this to cook over this hearth and allow it to cook until it's golden brown. And this could take upwards of 20 or 30 minutes. So we're gonna allow this to cook and watch it as it reduces down. All right, so we have cooked our mirepoix down and it is turning a real nice color, as you can see, and it has reduced beautifully. And so now we're ready to add in our flour and make our roux. So I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle our flour over the mirepoix. That in and let that brown as well. So give that just a second. So you want that also to develop some color, because you want to be able to really develop color for your Espagnole. Of course, the deeper your stock, then the better the actual end product is. But we cook this, and that's turning very nicely. So you can see that we're getting a nice deep brown color. That doesn't take too long. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add in some of my stock. And we're going to stir that in. And let that thicken just a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in some more. And then you want to basically let that kind of come up to a simmer. See our, there we go. got a real nice color going. So we're going to stir that. And so now to this, I'm gonna add my other ingredients, which will include my tomatoes, and I've got some fresh thyme, and I've got some bay leaf, and we're gonna let that cook. We're gonna let that simmer. And then of course, you'll want to skim any of the scum that comes up from your sauce as you cook. And I'd let this cook for a good 45 minutes or so that we get a real nice full flavor. And you're gonna get a wonderful flavor, and on top of it, you get this unique wood smoky flavor that you cannot get anywhere else. And it is truly amazing, an amazing aspect of your food. So we're gonna let this wonderful stock, wonderful sauce simmer and cook. Let it do its thing. We're gonna continue to cook our Espagnole. We're gonna add a little bit of seasoning to it. Add some salt. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper. And let it continue to simmer. See, it's nicely cooking. So you may, on the hearth, you may have to adjust your fire just a little bit, incorporating that those pieces. So I've always got some more logs in the back so that I can grab some fresh embers and add that as I need it and keep those embers going. There we go. Just to increase that heat just a little bit. And we will just let that continue to cook. All right, our Espagnole sauce is done. We've taken it off the hearth. As you can see, it is a beautiful, beautiful sauce. Just nappe consistency coats the back of our spoon. So I'm gonna go ahead and strain that into another pan. Get all of that goodness in there. Push that down. And really work it till we get all of that wonderful flavor out of the mirepoix and out of the aromatics. Oh, I wish you could be here for the smell. It's a wonderful Espagnole smell. It's hearty with the beef, and then it has that underlying tone of the wood fire. You just can't replicate this anywhere else except by hearth cooking. So, yes, it is more work. It takes a longer time to turn on the stove, but I really think for those of you who love cooking, it is part of your passion. This is a really wonderful avenue for you to begin to explore, and I hope you'll explore it with us. We're gonna do a lot of recipes. We're gonna do a lot of amazing things based off the classics. So I'm gonna push that in, really get it nice and almost as dry as I can get it, right? If you were a commis, a kitchen apprentice, you'd be sent back 2 or 3 times to get every little bit out after being yelled at, right? So we're gonna try not to be yelled at. We're gonna try to get it all removed there. So, scrape that off the bottom. There we go. So, and there's our essence. And then we're literally gonna add in the same amount of stock. We're gonna add that in. And that's going to go back on the fire, and we're going to cook it until it's reduced by half, and we have a fantastic demi-glaze.